So to understand what's a contract, let's just say that if I have a few nephews, right? My kids are all gallivanting on vacation. Let's say I needed some help moving stuff from my basement. So my nephews, I asked them that, could you come Sunday morning to help me move some stuff? They said yes. Is that a contract? Is that a contract? No, it's not. It's a promise. It's a promise. Right? Because a contract is when there's consideration involved from both parties and there are consequences to its non-fulfillment. Right? There's considerations from both parties and there are consequences to their non-fulfillment. So a lot of things aren't contracts and they cannot be enforced in a contract. So for example, if you hire somebody to paint your room, if you put a condition that you will be smiling at me while you're painting, is that an enforceable condition? No, it's just a promise. Because this has no relationship to the work itself. It's considered a frivolous stipulation. It's not enforceable. So, in a marriage contract, the marriage itself has very little that is essential to the marriage itself. And we look at the elements. All things that happen after the marriage that are not core to the marriage are simply promises. They are promises between the two parties. You will cook for me. It's a promise. You will be kind to me. Let's say Jack hates Uncle Bill. Say, you will visit my family and be nice to them. But Jack and Uncle Bill, Jill's father, continue fighting. So, does he have to be nice to Uncle Bill? No. Those aren't enforceable. And you see something being a promise rather than a contractual agreement in that, what if it's not fulfilled? Is this something enforceable? Could it be demanded? Right? So, at the heart of the marriage, especially because with the length of marriage and the time that marriages take, very often people's life circumstances change. Okay? So a contractual condition would be something that if it's not fulfilled, either the marriage did not happen. If Jack and Jill got married up the hill without witnesses, right? The birds and the angels don't count as witnesses, right? So that wasn't a marriage. If you didn't pay the mahar and it's due, that is enforceable. You can demand it, and in a Muslim country, you could take them to court for it because it has implications. It has implications. On the other hand, a promise is something that you hold yourself to, but if you don't, while you might be sinful, it does not affect the contract itself. Right? Right? So imagine, for example, Jack and Jill agree that we'll have children within the first year of marriage. But turns out that one of them can't have kids. Is that something enforceable in the marriage contract? No. So those are agreements rather than conditions. Those are agreements rather than conditions because they're not enforceable in of themselves. They're not enforceable in of themselves. So within a marriage contract itself, there are relatively few things, but they're critical elements that you do and must include. So in the first part, we wanted to highlight that having a marriage contract is important because this is Islamically what the fundamental marriage is. And this is something that many of you, when you're looking to get married, should think about, because a lot of the stuff that people consider essential to marriage isn't. Very often, people, like if scholars came to town, families would try to get, their daughters married to this scholar. Communities would want the scholar to either stay in their community or remain connected with their community through marriage. But the sheikh's going to be living in Damascus. He's only going to be in that small town a few times a year. Now, do husband and wife have to live together? No, that's not part of the marriage. But it could be agreed upon. Because when Jack and Jill went up the hill and they agreed to get married, Jill said, look, I will marry you, but on condition that you must live in our hometown. That's not part of the marriage contract itself. But that's something that could be stipulated in the agreement, where they live, for example.
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.